we have to place great emphasis on the link between the science, the economics and the finance of climate change, because they are intimately connected, they are truly intertwined, more so than is normally recognized. Just to give one example, we all acknowledge now that the temperature of the planet is increasing. We all acknowledge that CO2 concentrations are increasing. We all realize that almost certainly human activity is responsible for this. But what is less appreciated, for instance, is that the permanence of CO2 in the atmosphere is much, much longer than we originally expected. And this fact, this scientific fact, has implications about the technologies that we have to employ in order to tackle climate change in an efficient way, and in the economics, where by economics I mean the optimal policy course of action that we have to take in order to tackle climate change. And this brings me to another point, that it is certain that if we want to tackle climate change efficiently, we will have to make a major effort. And exactly because the effort is so big, we have to make sure that we understand the science behind it and we deploy our resources in the most efficient way. And that is why science, technology, economics and finance all come together. Permanence of CO2 in the atmosphere is particularly important because in order to reduce temperature, we have to reduce not emissions, but the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere. Since it takes so long to remove CO2 from the atmosphere by natural mechanisms, that means that purely relying on renewable sources of energy that limit or even take to zero net emissions into the atmosphere is not enough. We have to do something in order to reduce the content of CO2 in the atmosphere. The problem is that the technologies at our disposal at the moment are either in an infant state, or they require a lot of energy, or they require a lot of land, which all brings back to the point, to the crucial observation that optimal deployment of our resources is essential in order to tackle climate change in an effective way. EDHEC is extremely well placed, probably uniquely well placed, to make a contribution to the debate about climate change. EDHEC enjoys a very strong reputation both from its business school and its research institute in finance. But what is probably less well known is that EDHEC faculty members, many of the EDHEC faculty members, also have backgrounds in the hard sciences, in physics and related subjects. Not many people know, for instance, that Professor Martellini, apart from being the director of the EDHEC Research Center, also has a PhD in general relativity. Speaking about myself, for instance, I have a doctorate in nuclear engineering and a PhD in solid-state physics. And this combined academic perspective, I think, is really, really essential to make a good contribution to the debate about climate change, because of the intimate link that there is between the science, the technology, the economics and the finance of climate change. So yes, I think that EDHEC is extremely well placed to make a unique contribution to this debate.